It's a time for more packages from China. Let's go. But let's take a close look at the main menu itself. But you need to take consideration that throughout, let's say, the lifespan of these devices, the community is creating new kind of an OS or firmware for these things. But I just wanted to check out what you're getting out of the box. So we're having over here the game rooms. When selecting this, these are actually all of the platforms and all kinds of different, let's say, systems you can just actually play. However, these things are getting quite powerful compared with, let's say, a couple of years ago when you're checking out the devices. But yeah, most of the time you can play the same kind of stuff. So with the RetroArch, we're going to be having some new options like Dreamcast. We have an open bore, that's kind of cool, having like custom beat 'em up games and many other systems. But when it comes to Place Portable and some other systems, we do have some limitations in here. We're having the different kind of ports, the old school ones like Wolfenstein 3D. And let's continue having the app. So these are the things I personally don't care. Let me know in the comments what do you think of these things, like music, video, ebook and stuff like that. Let's check the video and we'll boot up into another kind of an firmware. And here you can see, or actually like firmware, kind of a different app. And you can just watch a different kind of video. And whoa, the audio speaker itself is quite loud when it comes to that. Oh, but getting out of it is always like a little bit of a hassle. Yeah, how can I quit this? But yeah, this is actually when it comes to like watching a video file or listening to audio. So here a quick overview of the specifications. So when it comes to, let's say, the CPU-GPU combination, it's quite okay when it comes to the power itself. The GPU is a dual-core G31MP2, but it's kind of weird that we're having LPDDR4, only 1 GB. Specification-wise, this thing does have an okay, let's say, specifications when it comes for some basic gaming. So by pressing the M button over here brings you back into the menu. We can go all the way back. And this way we can just close the app. And that is actually what this M button is for. However, let's get into some gaming and check out some settings. Where the menu looks kind of basic, we do have all the functionalities that we're going to be needing, like favorite list, where you can add all your favorite games to the list and fairly easy to boot up. So you don't need to dig through the freaking pile of games every time. History. And then we're having the search option. And let's see how fast it works when it comes to that. Absolutely fast. Pressing OK. At the top we're finding the platform, but also if it's going to be run through RetroArch or another emulator. And this way we can just fairly easy boot up the game. So let's say we're having the game with Advanced, not with the RetroArch emulator. And this way we can fairly easy like switch. You can do see it have this very strange, like say, scanline filter implemented, so there's a little bit of a downside. Pressing the menu, we do have the quick load, quick save. And we can just exit the game like that. And going back to the main menu. And it will take up a little time, but you can boot up the same game through the RetroArch, but it's kind of interesting that it will show a different configuration. Also, it looks like it takes a little bit longer when it comes for loading up the game. It takes absolutely way longer when it comes to that. But eventually it will boot up. We don't have the weird scanline filter. Pressing the same menu button will give you the RetroArch options. The way we can make a quick load, quick save. And we can having the cheat option. And in here we can find actually all kinds of stuff. And we can just quit. And go back to the main menu. So you can see when it comes to the RetroArch or the normal emulator, we do have a different option with different features. So when it comes for making a favorite list, you should pick up the games that you want to have like a certain kind of option with when it comes to cheating and stuff like that. But what I do need to point out, if you're going to be using, let's say, not the RetroArch, what you're getting actually is the option to change out the video. So having scanline fast means that we're having just no extra craziness on screen. You can go back to the menu like I did before. I have exactly a brain fart over there. But what I wanted to say, if you're going to be booting up the game, and that saves your last configuration, what you're getting is going to be the same game, but not with all the crazy weird pixel stuff on it. So you can change it out. So that's kind of cool. And also change here the brightness levels if you want to. The settings, let's talk about that. So in here we're having the system information, so the storage capacity and everything, the voltage of the battery, and the battery, that is something I wanted to show you. So let's quickly open it up. There's no clicking mechanism, you need to remove the screw itself, and here we're finding the battery. And the battery, it is stuck, so it is not easily to remove. I'm not going to be doing that, but you can see that it's going to be replaceable if you want to. But more information about even the kernel version and everything is going to be showcases in here, even the CPU core and the maximum frequency of 1.5 gigahertz. So it's quite interesting to see what you can all do. We're having the lock screen, brightness control can be switched out here too, so I've been set to 4, IO testing and other cool features. So it's kind of cool to see what can we all do. But let's take a close look at some emulators and let's play some games, what you can actually do with the device itself. I just wanted to play some PlayStation to see what's going on, and there is a little bit of an audio delay, but that is more of the problem of the emulator using on the back end. It's a little bit of a downside that even through the many different versions, they're still using the buggy software when it comes to some emulators. Wow, the audio is really loud when it comes to that, so let's lower it a little bit. One of the reasons I wanted to check out this particular game, just wanted to see how the D-pad is responding. Yeah, the D-pad is just great, so if you want to play some fighting games. But overall emulation, yeah, beside the audio delays, a bit of a downside, it's kind of cool to see that everything seems to be working well. So in here we're having video display effect, you can see brightness, the BIOS can be changed out, vibration can be enabled, but this is just a standard basic stuff that you're getting with this menu. But yeah, that's kind of cool to see how everything works when it comes to that. But you can actually play some PlayStation on this device if you don't mind just playing only with the D-pad itself. But you can see like how beautiful the displays they are using inside of this handheld. Yeah, that is just freaking awesome. So let's move on to some arcade with some Neo Geo. I already mentioned that the D-pad is perfect for fighting games, so I am very happy. We do have bezels, and I'm guessing if you're going to be using different an emulator, you can just tweak it and remove them if you don't want to see that. But out of the box, everything seems to be running off fine, and I'm expecting to have no problems whatsoever when it comes to playing some arcade games, 8-bit, 60-bit. But if you want to play some 60-bit games, the configuration of buttons is going to be different, because with the Sega controls we're normally having 3 or 6 configurations, so they're going to be switched out to some other parts of the controller. But yeah, I'm guessing that we're only going to be needing 3 buttons over here. But that is going to be the thing with some of the games, you need to get used to the overall controls. One thing I'm really surprised by is the overall quality of the audio. Where normally I'm a big fan of the dual speakers at the front, but this tiny little speaker at the bottom really surprised me. And overall emulation, like I already said, is just fine. With 8-bit, 60-bit, we have the same kind of, let's say, menu over here. It's going to be slightly different for PlayStation 2 of different options. So one of the systems I love to see on a device like this is the Sega 32X. With a lot of niche games. I love the 32X. I have the original hardware myself, but it's just fun to revisit those games through a device like this. But of course we're having the PC engine on here with Devil's Crush, a very cool game. If you love pinball games of the old school days, you should check it out. This is absolutely one worth playing. But still my favorite one is going to be the Tailgater pinball game. That one was a lot of fun. But let's move on to the RetroArch section and see into some different emulators. And yeah, we're able to even boot up some Dreamcast games. That is just nuts if you think about it. And the overall emulation is even quite surprisingly good. So the overall experience, I wouldn't be surprised. It can be a hit or miss with some games, but I think most of the library, It's quite playable when it comes to that. But if you're having some PlayStation Portable, yeah, this is going to be a serious problem sometimes. Or at least with mine, I'm not having any audio out of the box. It's quite unfortunate because it seems to be that some of the games are playable. So when it comes to this, that is a little bit of a downside. So what you can do is let's switch to a different game, what I'm doing. Okay, next up, the Bomberman game. Let's see if we can have like an okay, decent emulation performance. I really need to get used that this is the X button with no analog stick, so we just need to play only with the D-pad itself. Let's boot it up. And these simple games do have the option to actually be played, so that is kind of cool. So let's lower the audio a little bit because it's quite loud. And let's see, the loading times are quite fast for the game itself. And even for games like these games like the Bomberman, navigation is very important for a good D-pad. And I love this D-pad. This is just really pleasant to play with. And also, emulation for PlayStation Portable is possible, but yeah, don't expect any, let's say, difficult emulated games to be emulated like in God of War. Ooh, extra bumps. What? No extra bumps? Nevertheless, so this runs quite good when it comes to that. I did hear some minor hiccups, but that is something we need to live with. It's kind of cool to play some Bomberman from the PlayStation Portable, and in combination with the display, it fits quite well. Contra looked and loaded indeed, and the reason why I didn't ever hear of it because this is a custom-made game through the open bar. We can play, okay, we can choose different missions. So let's see what we're getting with this, and this is what I love about these crazy devices. We have like the weirdest stuff. Okay. I find it really interesting to see what they can actually make. Oh, this game is forgivable. I was thinking it was instantly dead, but nope. And also here you can see that the directions of the D-pad are perfect. So making this thing even more cooler. This is kind of funny game to play. Let's press the menu button to see how I can get out of the game. Yeah, it will automatically exit. There was no quick load, quick save whatsoever. But let's move to the homebrew section, or the ported games. Sorry, said it wrong. And with the ported games, we do have all kinds of cool stuff we can actually play. Ha! Remember the retro game, I think it was 315, etc. That has the option to play some Quake. The brightness is unfortunately always quite bad with this, but let's crank it up. Now let's see if I can even play this normally. Let's see, so this has been switched to that, okay. When it comes to this is just a very pleasant experience too. With the D-pad, I keep repeating myself for that. And with a simple reason, because it is absolutely a fact that this makes playing the game on this device quite pleasant and very fun. Okay, you can see that it runs through RetroArch over here. And what we're going to be doing is exiting and checking out some Game Boy Advance. But this is actually just the ultimate Game Boy Advance. Yeah, the simple reason because it comes packed with a beautiful IPS screen. The D-pad plays very nicely, what I already mentioned like a gazillion times. And the reason why I find it so important, get rid of the box. If you just feeling this D-pad, it is way too, let's say, stiff, I think is the right word, or sturdy, whatever. In the end, this is not a very pleasant experience, where it's actually like ruining the overall gameplay experience. Where Anbernic nailed it with this. So if you just want to play some Game Boy Advance games, this is of course another way you can go to. And they mapped the button over here to the turbo. So that's kind of cool to be having like turbo buttons implemented in the Game Boy. But if you're going to be playing some PlayStation games and other stuff, it's all fun and game. But I think you should only decide it for yourself what to get. I think if you're going to be playing some Game Boy Advance, this can bring you back to the old school days when you were playing it. Or if you want to revisit, this is just a really fun experience. Where the PlayStation Dreamcast are in fun edition, I think that is not one of the reasons you should pick it up. And the reason I'm saying it because there are so many different devices out there that can even do better or more. or have like a different form factor. I think just the authentic fun part is at the Game Boy Advance. That, yeah, exactly. But that would be one of the reasons why I would pick it up. So yeah, that is all up to you. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of it? And would you think this is going to be your ultimate Game Boy Advance replacement? But if you're going to be plugging this thing into your television, it automatically switches to the game you were playing. And what's kind of cool, if you're going to be playing on the television, it will implement bezels, the one you didn't see on the device itself. A very cool extra feature, you can see more and more when it comes to these devices. Man, this looks really pixelated, and now we can actually switch to the different maybe effects. So display effect, let's say dot matrix, and here we can just actually see that's going to be switching. Let's try the HD. Yeah, we're having this weird blurry filter. Not really a big fan of those. Let's put in the scan lines. Oh man, this looks really horrible. Nope, it's not getting any better. So where the fast is okay, maybe the dot matrix isn't even the less, let's say, horrible one. But again, it's going to be a choice you should make. So playing these games is just a lot of fun. But this is one thing they absolutely should, let's say, implement in every single device. Oh man, so just a little bit of a downside, the video display effect is going to be implemented in every single emulator. So that is a little bit of a downside. So if you don't like it, seeing it, you need to go to the freaking menu every single time and switch it off. And that's a little bit of a downside when it comes to that. But yeah, there are limitations. Maybe with some firmware updates, we're having maybe overall better performance in the end. But also Super NES emulation, that works quite well, no problem there. Already mentioned in the beginning of the video that when it comes to playing these games like 8-bit, 16-bit, there is no problem there. I think we have been in a very, let's say, crazy time where we have seen a lot of devices came out with a lot of problems, but we're reaching into, let's say, a certain level that we're having a device for an affordable price that can do all kinds of crazy stuff. And this plug and play effect, let's plug out the cable, let's see what happens. And we can just continue playing on here. If you're going to be plugging it in, it will take some time, but it will automatically switch to the monitor itself. What's kind of interesting, if you're going to be plugging it out, it will automatically go to the pause menu or the main menu or the quick menu, but now it will automatically go to the game itself.